Hello everyone and welcome to Tier Tribune. I am Pseudo. We got a bit of a different stream today. Couldn't be more excited and scared. Oh my gosh, they're talking about Berserker already. Let's go into it. We're going to be watching and reacting and discussing the balance stream today with Cal and Roy, following along with the class. So I'm pretty excited. This is unbelievably exciting for me. So let's jump into it, see what they're talking about.
This is an F1 skill.
Yes, so Berserker has its old F1 back.
Thank God!
This is how, if you played
right off the bat!
Of Heart of Thorns, this will probably look pretty familiar to you. So now the Primal Bursts are going to be something you enter. Berserker is going to be something you enter instead of going, choosing instead of
Amazing!
to your
Holy shit!
So you have that interaction back, which is obviously going to be very great. We've done some updates as well to a couple of the Primal Bursts, but also to the Rage.
Thank you.
Right, so the other
thank you.
key piece here is that when
Berserker first.
Berserker lost access to the core burst. Berserk was changed into a kind of burst scale of its own.
It doesn't have a cast
fill
time!
The gap of
It doesn't have a cast time anymore!
But fundamentally that is just a bit more clunky in terms of gameplay, because if I'm playing Berserker, I want my Primal Burst. I want to enter Berserk, and I want a Skull Grinder, or I want to, Rupturing Smash. No one's ever played Hammer Berserker in their life, but maybe after this patch.
Yeah.
Maybe. But so we've changed this back
true,
to
Cal.
the old
No one
version,
has.
which is a Rage skill, not super relevant outside of the one trait, but it is, again, going to...
Oh, it's relevant. It's relevant to me, man.
We're going to have immediate access to Primal Burst. You don't need the burst skill anymore.
Oh gosh,
And
this is so
there's gonna be
exciting.
a couple trait updates that kind of help the lack of burst
Dude,
skill
this is
on that,
nuts.
entry again, but just making the spec feel a lot more fluid and giving access to what people really care about here, which is the Primal Burst skills. A couple minor updates to Primal Burst we might as well talk
Music
about right
going
now.
on. Yeah. I'm so
Rupturing
excited.
Smash. This used to be a complete in front of you attack.
Ah, now it's
One
AoE.
disease in front of you. It's now a much
Hell
larger
yeah.
circle that attacks in a 360.
Oh, it's still got the sick
The same
animation.
as Earthshaker, the core
Yeah,
burst.
just a nice little kind of quality of life usability update.
Yeah,
Similar
it
to Land of
really
Flurry,
is.
We increased the projectile speed a little bit. Not really, it's a little bit inconsistent sometimes against moving
I'm
targets,
so
we bumped
excited.
it up, I think it was like 300 units per second or something. Nothing super exciting, but it should make it slightly more reliable there.
Yeah, and while we're on this weapon set, we could probably talk about Torch if you want to.
That's true, we could just jump into torch skills.
Oh, please,
Flipping the
God.
script. Last time we talked about rage skills during
It's
the
got
run-through,
it's got
we
two
talked about
charges. It's got two charges for the detonate.
And so on the fifth skill,
Hell yeah!
cleanse an additional condition, and your fourth skill is an ammo skill, as well as a blast finisher.
So
Oh,
these changes, the
sure.
blast finisher on the
Fuck
torch
yeah.
skill is going to be game-wide because it has to be, but the ammo is only for PvP and Worldly World, and the conditional...
Oh my god. It's also 600 now instead of like, no, I think it was 600. Well, still. Great.
Get some blast finishers to play with your fire.
Thank
skill.
you,
Give yourself a
Cal.
little more might. Torch, kind of not great. Just trying to
Dude.
make it a little bit more exciting. It's still going to be hard to compete with stuff like Shield or... mostly just Shield, but maybe this incentivizes
Mostly
more
just
one-hander
Shield.
plus one-hander on both sides.
Oh, this is fantastic already. I couldn't be more happy.
Play Torch offhand.
Fuck Blade Swarm, back to Berserker.
But now we can finally get into Cal's
Yeah,
favorite
we
part,
can
of course, the rage skills.
Go back to the rage skills.
Go back to the rage skills, exactly.
I mean,
Wanna see
nothing
what it
too
does,
crazy
man.
with the rage skills. Something that happened similarly with the previous update to Berserker a long time ago, like years ago, Berserker update, is that all these skills got changed into Berserk extenders. And
Yeah, they did.
adrenaline
And now they
was
grant
released.
adrenaline again. Oh, thank
And
God.
that really hit competitive pretty hard because you
Yeah,
need
it did.
more adrenaline gain. It's a lot harder to gain adrenaline. So we've gone through and we've added adrenaline back to basically all of them. The ones that
You
had it maybe got bumped up a little bit. The ones that don't have it now have adrenaline again. Shattering Blow, for example, we have 10 adrenaline gain here. Just to, again, make it slightly more reliable to enter Berserk mode, have access to your burst
On
skills.
Wild Blow. Show
And
me
the
Wild Blow.
caveat here is that we've split the Berserk mode extension down significantly in PvP. And
That's fine. Fuck it.
primary focus is the adrenaline. In PvE, we're keeping the extension high, and the adrenaline gain is much lower.
Right. Didn't want to completely shake up how it feels to play Berserker in PvE. Obviously, the change we're making with the trade-offs and getting your core F1 burst back is going to change things.
So
but you
excited.
still will have the
Headbutt.
Berserk extension.
Show me headbutt,
And then
man.
we did make a pretty interesting change for Headbutt as well. Previously or currently on live, Headbutt will actually remove stability if you have it, and that will increase the damage
do that
from the
anymore.
skill. So that will no longer happen. You won't remove stability. So if you want to combine it with something like Shattering Blow, or if
Thank
you get
you,
stability from
God.
a different source, then you will no longer remove stability and you won't stun yourself. However, we obviously wanted to, again, not affect PvE as much, and so the damage increase is just going to go baseline into the skill for PvE.
Right.
Sorry, I talked a little too fast.
There you go.
And get as much water as you want in the bucket.
That's totally fine. Yeah, so this is, again, pretty exciting.
Gotta
Like,
stay hydrated, man.
Shattering Blow or any stability source into Headbutt is kind of a big Berserker interaction from historically. Once upon a time, that was a big interaction, so that is now once again a possibility.
Oh,
Absolutely.
already feels so good.
So I think we have a couple of trait changes to talk about. Oh, that strength is
How about Wild Blow?
something that happened with that. That icon's a little different in strength. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah,
But for now, we have a couple of Berserker traits that we've updated.
absolutely.
Oh,
So the
yeah.
first one
Yeah,
is
you wanna
Dead
talk
or
about
Alive.
Dead or Alive.
Yeah, Dead or Alive. So previously, this was the trait that would.
Oh, that was a
while you
good
were in
one.
Berserk
God
mode,
damn
if
it.
you took fatal damage, it would heal you. We wanted to
I mean,
try
that's
to
still
move away
really
from
good.
sort of that passive effect a little bit. And so now what will happen is when you enter Berserk mode, you'll gain a few seconds, well, 2.5 seconds in fact, of the Blood Reckoning lifesteal buff. So this isn't going to be the entire heal. It's not going to give you adrenaline. It's not going to just give you a flat heal. But you will get
I
that
had to take my
lifesteal
workout
bonus
gloves off. I'm
for
sweating
2.5
more than my
seconds when
workout.
entering
Holy
Berserk mode.
shit.
So kind of keeping a little bit of the flavor of that old trait still there, but again, it's more of an active interaction.
Yeah, keeping it in the same vein, sustained trait. It's pretty. This one's actually pretty exciting, honestly.
Yeah,
Like I'm
It's a good trait.
interested to see how this plays out. And another slight update. Oh, I forgot to talk about. Did I forget to talk about Fatal Frenzy? I think
Thank
I
you,
did.
God!
You might notice this trait doesn't reduce your toughness anymore.
Right, that's the trade-off we removed.
Yeah.
Besides, obviously, giving back the
Another
performance, yes.
another trade-off that Berserker had.
Yeah.
So pretty important. I wonder how we forgot that. Anyway, the final trait change here is to Bloody Roar. This is now also going to give you resistance when you enter Berserker.
Does
mode,
it also
which
just
really
work
adds
in
more to the
PvE
power
now?
spike
Because it
moment
doesn't
of
right now on
entering
live.
Berserk. And one of the goals here was that we could actually bring the damage bonus down a little bit, because once upon a time this trait applied
Bruh.
inflicted taunt
Yes.
when you enter Berserk mode. Very unhealthy. That was removed, and the damage bonus just got cranked up pretty high, which actually creates some amount of problem, regardless of Berserker actually being pretty weak overall. It deals a ton
Yeah.
of damage right now.
It is.
And it's almost an unhealthy amount of damage, so we wanted to add something back here on resistance, or add something back here on Bloody Roar, give it a nice little bonus so we could bring the damage bonus
How
down.
about some of that resolution
10%
shit you keep
change
talking
is
about?
Pretty exciting stuff.
Absolutely. And I believe that is pretty much it for Berserker.
Yes,
I
so
say
we're
pretty
Fuck
much
Smash
obviously,
Brawler.
there's quite a lot of stuff. We're
a lot
hoping to
of
see some more
Pretty
Berserker,
exciting changes.
gaming. And the next thing that we'll talk about will probably as well.
Okay with that,
I think,
honestly.
help-
I love that they're
help,
starting with
Berserker.
Warrior.
Yeah, so defense. As we
Oh,
had
they
mentioned
swapped
at the
hammer and
start,
mace. Weird.
We are removing 300-second traits. There were a couple of those in this
swap some
trait
traits.
line. And so we will be obviously talking about those, but we reworked more than just the 300-second traits in defense.
Whoop, spoiler.
Oh,
Okay.
a little bit of spoiler. There we go. I was going crazy.
Trying to just turn off the flashing thing. That was a common point of feedback during the first beta preview, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad we're iterating the feedback.
We're learning.
Yeah.
Yes.
But obviously, defense is a trait line that you don't really see played very often right now.
No,
and it
you
used to be a
don't,
pretty common
except
trait
if you're
line.
me.
You play it in PvP, you play it in World versus World. Obviously, after the 300-second traits came about, just some various other things, you don't really see it being played as much. So we're hoping that
What you got
reworking,
for me, kids?
not the entire trait line, but most of it is going to help push it into the meta a little
There's
bit.
definitely a lot of changes.
Yeah, a lot of changes for defense. And so we're hoping to see, this should help Warrior specifically in larger scale fights for World versus World. It's a really good trade line for that. But
about
also
just
just some interesting
in
new
general?
builds in PvP.
Let's
And,
fucking
we're
do
very
it.
excited about
Yeah,
it.
so
Come
we
on.
can kick things off with the 300-second cooldown
Yeah.
traits that previously existed in the straight line.
Yeah,
We'll
man.
start with the 5 pain. So previously this was, gain endure pain when you fall below half health. Pretty
Stun
boring.
breaks,
pretty
gives barrier.
uninteractive. It's very
That's
problematic.
weird.
So something we've been doing with a decent
Elite
chunk of
skill.
these is
No
just making a
cooldown.
trigger happen on elite skill.
Jesus.
On a passive health threshold or passive
Okay.
interaction of some kind. And so this just makes it a lot more active. Very exciting with Headbutt, which
Yeah.
notably is
Yeah,
in,
for
18
fucking
seconds
real.
cooldown. And currently we don't have a cooldown on the Defy Pain trait. We just kind of want to see how it goes. Berserker getting a lot of improvements this update already.
Good.
And
It
this
needs
could push
it.
over the
It's
top.
the
We can always
worst
add a cooldown that
spec.
pretty much only affects Headbutt. But for this update, we're just kind of letting it fly. Obviously, very exciting in World v World. Drop Winds of Disenchantment and get Endure Pain.
Yeah.
Or Rampage Endure Pain. Less so. Maybe Signet of Rage.
Yeah.
There's an update for that a little bit later.
Good.
Rage,
Super
some
crazy,
buffs.
but
Good.
oh, why is it a barrier? Someone noticed.
It does give barrier.
So that's actually due to the other trait here, Last Stand, which previously gave you balance.
Oh,
damage,
thank
but it was
God.
Also very unhealthy.
Yes.
To the point that it had a 300-second cooldown. So that's just been pulled out entirely, and this now gives you barrier on stance. Notably,
that's
for
not
things like
the
Defiant Stance
best,
or
but, like,
Endure Pain, the
pretty
barrier
stoked.
application is going to be pretty logical.
I wish they
where
would
when I
do
cast
something
Endure Pain,
about
I
like
don't get
the
barrier immediately,
traits that
but
just
when
like
I
suck,
when
man.
Endure Pain ends, then I get
Ones
barrier
like
from that
convert
trait.
toughness
Whereas
into
stuff like
power or
Frenzy
whatever.
is going to work as you expect to get the barrier up front.
Right. Absolutely. And of course, this is a pretty big interaction for Defiant Stance. We didn't want to,
Defiant Stance.
we didn't want to put it at the beginning because, then you'd soak up some of the damage you're trying to heal from.
Good.
Yeah, just like Cal said, it'll happen.
Thankfully, they fucking thought of that.
Similarly,
Oh my god.
We changed thick skin here. This used to be kind of that.
Good!
Health threshold take
Oh,
less
this is
damage.
gonna be so good,
Not super
dude!
impactful, not super exciting. Now it's gonna
Sorry,
be
I'm yelling a lot. I'm so excited.
More of a potent defensive option.
Oh, this is so exciting.
Defiant Stance is going to
Watching
give
a
you
balance
protection
stream in
after
here?
the-
Dude, they started with Berserker, Anrak.
I
Let's see, what's
just
up next?
turned it
We
on,
can talk
so
about
I
Oh
didn't see
my
anything.
god.
We could talk
Berserk,
about Shield Master.
I
Let's
am
talk
already
about
so
Arena.
excited. Berserker's my favorite class and currently, like in my opinion, the
So we're
worst in the
doing a couple
game
things,
in PvP.
similar to
And they
what we
started
did
with it,
Trade.
dude.
So Adrenal Health.
All I saw
So
was
previously,
some barrier on some of the
or
stances.
You might notice if you look at Adrenal Health. that
Maximum
it
stacks 4,
now
amazing.
has a
Oh,
extra
so good.
Sort of charge there, and this is obviously specifically aimed at Berserker and Spellbreaker.
Dude, it's
The
aimed at
burst
everything,
skills,
man.
Primal bursts only are one.
Oh my god,
block
like
of-
I currently have a build on my
So this
Bladesworn
will
that
give you a
uses
baseline
arms and
one
defense,
fight.
so
As
they already are
well,
buffing
if you are
defense
on
like a
Core
lot,
Warrior,
so like my
you'll
build
get
is gonna
all
be
3 of
nutty.
them, which would be 4.
I
3
don't
plus
play
1
Warrior
Yes,
that
there's some
much. Is
math you might
defense
have
the
to do
shit
now.
trait
You get
line?
one
It is
stack
now
baseline
since they had
plus one
300
stack
second
per
traits.
bar
It's
of
the one they used to
adrenaline.
run like all the time when those
So,
traits had
the
like a
number
30 second
has been
cooldown. So they like
adjusted to make
removed
sure that
those
we
and
don't
reworked
blow
them.
out the healing number too much.
Finally,
But it's
after
still gonna
good
be a bit of
2
a buff in
years.
competitive mode. PvE, it's about the same.
No,
But
Thief
very
is the
well.
one I
I
don't
think I
play
hit a
very
little bit
much,
harder
so
than maybe should
yeah, I'm
have
kind of that way
The
with
key
Thief, but
interaction
I
is what Roy said.
craft like
you know,
everything else.
1 bar of adrenaline is 2 stacks of adrenal health. It's 2 Condi Cleanse from cleansing
It's
iron,
so good.
which we will, I guess, talk about right now. Kind of
dude.
bridging the gap of
Bruh,
what
dude,
the Berserker
bro.
interaction used to be. 1 bar gives you.
Glad to see you excited about a balance
Return
change, though.
No, this
which
is
now
I.
1 for 1.
They
So
couldn't
this is
make
just a
Warrior
nice novel
worse.
Berserker, and it's not
You know, I
Spellbreaker.
keep saying
Makes
Don't
that,
say
it
but
that.
a little bit
Guys,
more
you're
impactful.
if they get to arms and they've like fucked the Signet trait, I'm gonna be really sad. But they already said they buffed Signet of Rage, so and they haven't talked about it yet. I don't know. Awesome! Everything goes up to 4 stacks now. This is insane. Oh my god,
Nice little bonus there for some
Dude,
of the
dude.
Is it just for
specializations,
Berserker that it
don't
goes up to
normally
4,
have access
or-
to all 3 of those bars.
No, it's for like
Should really help it out.
one.
Again,
They said one
you know,
bar of
you're looking
adrenaline.
for
It counts
seasonal
as
interactions
2
with your defense
or
trait
something
line.
Oh.
for one of
Berserker,
these. So I'm
obviously,
assuming
really
if you use
good
2 bars, it
for
goes
the
4. So they're just multiplying its
Defense Berserker
effectiveness
should
by
be a
2 or
pretty good
something. I
Let's
don't
do
know.
it.
Yeah.
I'm assuming
So
because
those are
Spellbreaker only
I'd
has
say,
2 bars
a
of
couple the
adrenaline,
really major
so
ones, but we still got some other traits to look at.
it
here,
works with that.
for defense. So Shield Master.
Minor update to Shield Master. Instead of granting might, it's gonna give
adrenaline,
you
block and attack, or reflect.
So
Good.
might was kind of
Thank
something
you,
that
God.
felt a bit out of place in defense trait line. There's some synergy with might makes right if you take strength defense, but
Thank
adrenaline
God, they're
being
actually
here
mentioning
plays
all the
with
like
adrenal health better,
synergies
plays
that
with
I know
cleansing
about.
better.
No one else like
Adding
gives a
more
shit about
adrenaline
other than the 3 people who
is
still
very
play
kind of
Warrior.
thematic to defense, so we
At least they're acknowledging them, you
Also,
know.
no more CDR.
Right, so that is another.
Fun
relevant thing
fact,
to talk
Shield
about. A
Master
lot
is
of the time
still
when we're
bugged
doing
unless they
game
fix it with this
traits,
update, so that if you have Aegis and you're being shot by projectiles, it will reflect all of the projectiles and not consume the Aegis. Guess what can give itself Aegis?
That get the cooldown reduction, make
Uh,
the cooldown of a particular
shield?
skill too.
Bladesworn.
Okay, I don't know.
It's just a weird, fun interaction I found when I was like, hey, I can just like go into Dragon Trigger and give myself Aegis and like sit here and reflect all this shit for 3 seconds.
Interesting. So until they hit you with a non-ranged attack.
Yeah, until they hit you with a melee.
This is just a
Huh.
way that we can
It doesn't consume the Aegis.
essentially
It
make
just
the
behaves
skill
like you
balance around
over-reflect
a
on
particular
you.
cooldown and not worry about it being pushed too low or being too high in the absence of a trait. So we've done that for Shield Master
So it's
here.
not like you channeling
the
a
glyph
block
trait over in Druid
that
with
matters.
Also-
It's just you
cooldown
having
reduction on the
Aegis.
shield trait and engineer.
Yeah, it's
also being
whenever you
removed,
have like
and then
whenever you are
remove
channeling a
cooldown
block or
reduction
whenever
from
the
trait,
Aegis part's bugged.
We'll kind of evaluate if it is
I'm
necessary.
assuming.
If it's a commonly used trait, we'll usually roll it in baseline, or if the skills are too weak, we'll roll it in cooldown baseline.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Sometimes we
I guess they rolled the
and
cooldown
we'll
reduction for
just
shield
bring
into
it
baseline. That's nuts.
Absolutely.
Because shield's already like really good.
So after that, we have a slight change to Cold Weak. Instead of applying weakness to anyone you hit under half health, it's now going to be applied on burst skill. And there's just
God
making a
damn
little more
it.
control,
Call the
give
Weak
it
was
some
so
more,
good.
And of course, Skull
Fuck.
Grinder needs to apply more conditions.
Was that
So
the
now
one
you
that
can apply
immobilized
weakness with your
people?
Skull Grinder.
No, that's like specialist stats and
Yeah,
tactics.
not
This one
a
just
huge change
basically
there.
put perma weakness on
Next
you
up,
if you're
we've
under
got-
50%.
Let's
Little
talk
trait
about Resilient Roll.
All right,
Resilient
that's
roll?
good
This used to be a
enough.
trait
It
called
has no
Armor Attack,
cooldown.
which
Who cares?
kind of sucked, honestly.
Yeah, so now it will just give you resistance.
Dude,
to
this is
dodge.
so good.
Resistance is a great boon to have, obviously.
Oh, but they're
and
taking away my
kind of
toughness
thematic
conversion. God
defense.
damn it.
Putting it on the dodge.
I literally use that trait right
So
now.
Again, it's a little bit more sort of you're getting it when you expect to. You know,
Toughness
you're
to
specifically doing
which
something
stat?
Toughness to
get
power.
Resistance there.
I have my Bladesworn
and
currently
then
runs
some people
all
might notice
Cavalier,
this
which is
icon,
prime
that's
stat
really
toughness and
in
minor
the bottom.
power and ferocity.
What
That
could
is-
it be?
And
What
and it runs
icon we
arms to
actually
get the
stolen
crits.
From the strength trait line.
This may have also been noticed, but this is Merciless Hammer.
Yeah, Merciless Hammer is
Back
now
from a long
in
vacation.
defense. Indeed, it's been a
All right,
while.
fine,
The last
fair enough.
time Merciless Hammer's in defense was before the trait system was last updated, before Heart of Thorns launched.
So here's how much I
Yeah.
don't know about
Anyone
Warrior.
remembers
How
that?
much is 7
I believe it used to be
adrenaline? Is it
trait
like
number
7/10 of a single bar?
It was one of them, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Actually,
now
yeah.
back in
So-
defense. We thought that it kind of made a little bit more sense
Spellbreaker has
to
20
be here.
adrenaline max.
Also sort of
Berserker
combine
has
it
30. It
with
takes
the
it
trait.
under 30. They're also giving Berserker back the regular F1s, dude.
Mace Hammer.
Oh.
I'm so excited
So now you can
because
pick which one you want to
And
use.
so
right,
Merciless
because
Hammer
that's
will now,
before
since
they're
it's
like
hammer
the
trait
last
and mace trait,
last patch where they
it makes a
updated
little
Arc
more
Divider
sense
and
to
everyone
be
loved
in
it
defense,
because Arc Divider
to
looked
use
cooler. They
to
actually
kind of try
nerfed
and
the
take
shit out of
Berserker.
Berserker.
It is a little bit more aggressive than.
It was in
you know,
quotes
lot
a
of the other
buff
sort of
patch, but it
defensive
really
traits
only
in
buffed it in
defense.
PvE by
But we
giving it
think
no
that
cooldown
kind of
on the
makes sense.
XF1,
Give
and it
defense
just
a little
nerfed
bit
the
of
shit out of
options to play
everything
a bit
else.
more
Like it
aggressively
lost
if you
300
want
toughness
to.
when it went into Berserk, it lost its
Slightly
F1s.
more
It had so many trade-offs, it was shit.
And again,
And
the
now,
adrenaline gain on
3
the
years
trait,
later,
very nice.
finally,
You know,
they're
29
fucking undoing all of that.
interactions. Makes-
And I
makes
could
a lot
not
more
be
sense
more
to do,
excited.
so we wanted to
Because
do
the
it.
biggest thing
We'll
with
talk about when we
Longbow,
place it a little bit.
Longbow
We didn't just
sucks
move
nuts.
something
Like,
made
goddamn,
strength.
No,
one of the worst weapons in the game.
that would have.
I think we have one more trait here in defense to talk about.
The F1
and it's which
on
one
Longbow is
could be
actually
the
pretty
bottom
good
Grandmaster
because
trait.
it's a huge AoE.
and
But
I
you
think
couldn't
that big
choose that
fireball
if you were a
is
Berserker.
Right, rousing resilience.
Interesting.
Which, if you are aware, is
But it's no longer called Rousing.
Ability disable
and it's no longer that trait.
strike
But it's
damage.
interesting. It was an
Nice.
interesting trait. A little bit counterintuitive. It kind of punished players for getting stuns off, and it kind of rewarded you for getting stunned.
Yeah,
which
I
isn't
liked
really
rousing
the direction,
resilience though.
Or behavior we wanted to see.
All right, fine, fair
So
enough.
we've
Just
got
don't
rid of that
change
trait
arms
and
too
just put
much,
a new one
man.
in.
That's all I'm praying
So you
for.
now will gain stability when you CCFO again, kind of, or disable folks, excuse me.
Dude,
kind
they
of, you know,
started
in
with
the
Warrior.
vein of it fits
They
in
know!
with
How's
the stream gonna go? 'Cause it's
and
been
it
like
also,
25
I know,
minutes and
right?
I've gone through
and of course,
Half a
yeah,
profession?
Increased strike damage while you are.
Yeah, dude, I had that thought. I was like, this is gonna be a fucking 6-hour stream
nice
unless
little,
literally it's only fixing
kind
Warrior,
of
which I
a
feel like it kind of
offensive
is.
team trait, but
It needs it.
these are
It
things that kind of
needs
make
it
sense
so
for the Grandmaster
bad.
Plus, kind of break the mold a little bit.
It's
as
so
long as
shit.
Something that is thematic
It's
to
so
the
shit.
yeah, might makes right in strength, having a strength trait line with a defensive trait, but it is might focused, might oriented, which is something that fits with strength trait line. Similarly, doing stuff on disable here, but giving the damage bonus. A nice way to have a kind of different flavor of Grandmaster trait for the defense line.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Absolutely.
stalwart strength. I'm not sure what it's
And, yes,
competing
as Cal
with,
said,
but that
obviously
seems really
this would
obnoxious in
need a
PvP.
hole in strength.
It's
Let's talk
competing
about
with,
that
so
right
they
now.
they
Yeah,
rechanged
we're
the
gonna
barrier or the
over,
stance trait. So now your stances give you barrier at the end of the stance, which is really
do it.
important because
For
Defiant
Derpy
We'll run in
stance.
the show.
specifically.
But all right.
No,
so
and
as
all of them,
Defiant
all of them
Stance
mitigate
Power,
damage.
which we're not hovering right now, did get the same sort of
Like
change
that's what I was
as
worried about because there's a rune that adds barrier when you use a
again,
stance, but it's
giving you
useless
one
because you
attack.
like when you use
So aggressive
the one that
onslaught
heals
is a
you,
new
the
trait
heal
that will be
stance
replaced
when you
Merciless
convert
Hammer.
incoming damage
And so
to
this is
like
now
health.
gaining
You don't want
quickness,
barrier because
similar
it
to Merciless
decreases
Hammer.
the amount you're gonna heal, and they
So-
actually thought of that, dude. They played the class
but
for
it'll now
4
give you a
seconds.
double foe, and it'll also increase your
Nah,
speed by
that's not
25% while you're under.
He actually
defense.
made a joke about that.
Important note.
Quickness
here is
when
that
you
it does
disable
stack
an
with other
enemy,
movement
fuck
speed
off.
buffs. So if you have super speed, you're going to, and quickness, you're going
Oh
to be good.
man, that's
Very
good.
much so. Well, you
They're
think
going
about
back to like the
Berserker,
Warrior
you get
has
the extra
CC's
speed
thing. I like it.
already.
I'm
So you have
getting a
this, you get
scary
to,
like
run very fast.
Hambo
I'm
Warrior.
gonna try it out.
If
that- is that
competing
back?
with some of the most powerful traits
If they
in
change Longbow,
Warrior,
maybe.
honestly, with Berserker's
They haven't
power.
done weapons
So
other than
we
Torch
want to do
yet.
something a little bit interesting and exciting here. And,
And Torches, they did some of the stuff that I wanted them to do. They gave Torch 4 ammunition and made it a blast, so you can A, stack might on yourself
we
better,
can,
and B,
jump
you can
into
trigger
some
King of
spell
Fires better.
Yeah,
And they
so a lot
didn't
of the
change
spell
King of
breakers
Fires,
can
which
be
is the
fact
only
can be
thing I care
primarily
about in the
into PvP.
game.
In fact, they are only into PvP. And so obviously Spellbreaker is pretty good right now in World versus World. But in PvP, it hasn't really seen a lot of play.
Stance, Call
It
of
used
That-
to be a
God,
pretty popular
oh, this is
build
gonna be a
both for the
nightmare.
side node, sort of more damage-oriented
Jesus.
build, and the full-on
Oh, I
team
can't wait
support
to fight
build.
Immortal
So it's a
Spellbreakers
pretty
again.
Cool, kind of more aggressive support than
PvP
Cold
only,
Guardian or Tempest.
weird.
Yeah, like I said, we haven't really seen that in a while.
I guess
So
they
these
didn't
changes
wanna
are
change
aimed at
Defiance
trying
bar
to bring
stuff.
Spellbreaker back into the
Well,
meta.
and it's
So just
you gotta keep in
a
mind
few
this isn't
changes
World
for
versus
Power
World.
Spellbreaker, a few changes for
Oh,
support
only
Warrior.
PvP.
This is PvP
And you know,
only,
some
yeah.
of these
Right,
are
they said
core
that
warriors.
Spellbreaker's
I guess
already-
World's already too
skills, but they are
obnoxious.
Right, he
very
said
much
it's
in the
already
vein
pretty
of
strong in World
what
versus
support
World.
Spellbreaker
It's really
can do
interesting
for
that they're like
them.
actually separating shit on a competitive level now,
And,
at least via the
you know,
stream.
just trying trying to.
You know what's
bring up
also
some
great
new
about
levels
this?
is
There's
a big-
another balance
big
patch in
goal.
November to address some of this shit, so it's not just going to sit there for
Alongside,
literally another
defense
2
plate line,
years.
Maybe we see defense will breaker again. Maybe not, but.
Huh, I didn't know there was going to be a second one. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
they
no,
said-
that's good. And
We'll see,
honestly,
yeah,
they need to
strength
be
defense,
doing
just cut
balance
discipline.
patches at a
Pretty
much
exciting.
more frequent rate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I
But,
guess next
you
we
know,
can
it's
move on
ANET, and
to,
whether or not their
voice mode.
oversight or cadence affords them the ability to do that, we'll see.
Right.
Okay.
Sure, I
I mean,
can
I
talk
know
about
better
Blade
than
Sworn.
this
I
is
guess.
last,
Last
but
last
it
one
Okay.
we
needs
did,
to
Roy talked
happen.
about this slide.
Trying to switch it up. All right, fine, I'll take
Protection
Blade Sworn. So Blade Sworn,
stability.
we've only got a couple of changes for it.
Weird.
Obviously, the first one there is
Damn.
a bug fix. So now there was a bug where the Dragon Trigger could go on a lower cooldown than expected. That is no longer going to be in the game. Dragon Skill Defense is now going to be
Interesting.
the same as it was in the beta with the cooldown, and it now grants protection instead of stability.
Does fucking
Right.
what's
In
it called
competitive
finally
mode.
grant
Right.
stability then? Because
This
if
was
not,
how
you
it
have no
behaved
stability
in
on
the
Blade
first beta
Sworn.
test for Blade Sworn, and it got changed to stability as part of a kind of a more PvE focused
Yeah.
idea of, I'm going to be going into Dragon Trigger and
Yeah, but
channeling
the,
for a long time.
the
so I'm
fucking
still
stability's really good.
in competitive
Change
mode,
that.
it's a bit too powerful.
I
of
mean,
an
you can
effect
always
to put on
take
that
that.
trigger.
No, it's not,
How
Cal.
bad it
Shut
is.
up.
Obviously, the cooldown has been bugged for a while, and
Sorry, what?
fix that.
You can take that
And
trait that
we
gives you
probably have to
stability
put
when you
two
I know,
enter.
rounds
right?
down so the trait doesn't feel
The problem is
too
I
bad
don't.
either.
I mean,
We
we'll
just
see when we
change
get
it
to
back
Blade Sworn,
protection
but I don't take.
and brought the cooldown back down. So
I play a
still
very
that defensive
non-meta.
option,
I hate the
but
Shout Sworn build.
maybe not
I really,
quite.
really hate it because it's being carried by
And the last
literally
thing
that
is
one
the-
shout trait that's
The last trait
overpowered.
is a little bit crazy.
So I play a very off Blade Sworn that doesn't use the stun
Blade Sworn
trait.
is running a little rampant, and obviously the first two changes, or the change and the bug fix, are aimed at potentially bringing it down a little bit.
Is that
But we definitely
invigorating
think this
shouts
change
or
will be a
whatever
lot more
the
impactful.
trait is?
Yeah,
So
the
tactical reload, the
Grandmastering
elite
tactics,
Blade
that's
Sworn
way,
skill.
Yeah.
way,
Now
way
is
too
only going to
overpowered.
recharge ammunition
It
skill
needs
on
like a
Blade
4-second
Sworn
cooldown or
specific skills. So
something.
previously,
The fact that you have
currently
literally
live,
10
it
heal
will,
skills
recharge
on that class
ammunition
is
Too
skills,
much.
Any ammunition skill.
It's
And so
a
this
lot.
obviously has a pretty strong interaction with shouts on Warrior. So this is aimed at making it. Makes a little bit more sense for it to only really recharge Blade Sworn skills.
Yeah,
a
it's
little easier to
way
balance
too
around
good.
as well.
In PvP,
And of course,
like the
it,
Shout
can
Sworn
have
build,
these sort of
just that
unhealthy
one Shout
interactions.
Sworn build
If we
is
wanted to
like
look at
way
potentially
too
buffing
good.
Shouts, we'd have to be really
The rest of
concerned
Blade Sworn
about this
sucks
elite
butt.
skill. And so this will definitely affect how Blade Sworn is run in PvP. We're
Nah,
thinking,
it's fine.
this
Fuck that build.
potentially
I
might
hate
not
that
completely
build.
remove it from the meta. That's what we're hoping. And obviously now with the new defense options.
One guy's in chat, Warrior mains are unaffected.
It's
pretty good.
Just in case.
Yeah, the real important thing here, this is a huge change. This is a very impactful change for competitive modes, and it could very much push Blade Sworn out of the meta.
Yeah.
But
That's fine.
The key thing, and the reason why we made this change, is because it really puts the skill mechanically where we want it to be, and focusing on the Blade Sworn side of ammo skill.
Okay, so
really
they're
gives a
all
lot more
the
room
tactical
to
reload change is actually
make,
huge because that effectively
gun saver kill
eliminates
a lot more
3 of their
exciting,
heal
some of the
skills,
utility skills are
right?
better,
Yes.
And we can bring the cooldown
Because
down.
you can't recharge the shouts
much
anymore.
more realistic to not have to.
This
always
is
be worried
so.
about
This is
tactical
really
reload
good because the
every
one thing that I didn't want them to do to
And
balance Warrior, which I was
this
kind of
may be a
having
bit
a heart
more
attack when they
nitty-gritty
added like the
we'll
first
see
thing.
how
They
it
were
plays
like,
out. We're
we added
definitely
ammunition to Torch
keeping
4. I
a
was like,
very
Jesus
close eye on
Christ!
Blade
I
Sworn.
didn't want them to
Like,
just
this
add
plays out
ammunition
like,
to
if this pushes
everything
Blade Sworn on the meta, we'll be
because I hate
looking for ways
the
to
idea
get
of
back
just
to
like,
Blade
okay,
Sworn.
only play the meta class or the newest class.
The goal of this change is not to delete Blade Sworn, so if it does delete Blade Sworn, that's not ideal. But
No.
it is putting the skill into a place where we want it to be mechanically.
Good. Love all of this so far. I could not be happier.
And that is it for the elite specs. We got a couple of sort of general world versus world.
Just a few general warrior.
I keep calling it
Good.
world for the warrior.
Well, this first
Good.
one is
I
pretty
actually really
technical.
like this.
Absolutely. And so as we mentioned at the beginning of the stream, one of the goals with this balance pass was to try and get some more.
Signet of
boost
Rage
stun
doesn't
rates
matter.
on two
Whirling
classes
Axe
that either
is
don't have
kind of
them or just aren't
huge.
as usable as strong right now, as specifically the fire.
Alright, whatever. None of this affects me.
And so Shake It Off is going to be one of those. So it is now
It's a
going
pretty
to stun
hefty
break your allies.
damage
However,
nerf.
in
I mean, the
current
Shake It Off thing
Whirling
is
Axe in-game,
huge.
it is an ammo scale with 2 charges. We're going to be bringing that
Yeah,
down to
that's
one
why I was
charge
like, well,
for
Whirling
1
Axe,
team.
honestly, it's
The
like,
cooldown, of course,
hopefully
one
they
side
add
that
that
would bring it
damage
down to
somewhere
75
else, but
seconds
like,
all the way down
Whirling
to
Axe is
60.
like the one
So
skill
we
that
felt
does
this was a
damage
pretty
in
place
World
for that
vs.
AoE
World
stun
right
break
now on Warrior.
And should be,
And it does
pretty
just
easy
like
for Warrior
fucking
taking it,
shitloads
some
of
sort
it.
Support build to help stun break allies out.
Yes, and then Signet of Rage is kind of just an extra add-on that we had in the
The,
update.
ca-
'cause
the,
we were
rec-
thinking about,
the idea that
you know,
Signet
when
of
the
Rage had a
5
cast
pan
time of
went
like
to on Elite
1
trigger,
second is
very
really
cool with
stupid.
Headbutt, less cool with maybe Rampage or Battle Standard, some of the other core elite skills.
That
so
just fills
maybe
your rage bar,
if
right?
Signet of Rage was a bit
No,
more
it doesn't.
usable,
That's
maybe
not the
we
Rage
could
one.
get some use out
It
of
gives
that.
you
We brought the cast
20
down
stacks of
way
might
down.
and Fury and
Up the
Swiftness.
might just a little bit. So it is still
4
20 stacks of might,
seconds.
5 second
It's
duration.
very
It's
bad.
headbutt
Much
that
faster
fills
cast
your
time.
adrenaline bar.
I'm not sure
Yes, if
people
you
are going
hit
to
with
play
it.
it anyway.
And they
but
also
it's just a
finally
kind of a
fucking
first
removed the
step
thing where
to
headbutt
making
removes
skill look a
stability.
little bit better as we were looking at just core warrior.
Absolutely. Moving on, Whirling Axe is going to have its power coefficient reduced in World vs. World only.
Alright, where are
This
you
is
adding the
obviously a
power?
Very, very powerful skill right now in World vs.
Yeah, it
World.
is.
It chunks, and so we're hoping to bring it down a little bit, make it still usable, but not, feel terrible.
Hydration break.
And one-shot players. And obviously, we'll still be keeping an eye on action and seeing how it's performing. And then
Earthshaker.
Yeah, Earthshaker.
Earthshaker does nothing.
There is a change to this.
Yeah.
It's can you guess the change? Actually, Roy knows the change, but I think chat might
I
be
can
able
try
to
to guess.
Fuck.
Chat might be able to guess the change here.
Isn't that a hammer skill?
So we kind of want to
think.
slow roll it as much as possible by leaving it blank here. We are adding a bit of damage back onto Earthshaker. and
What's fucking Earthshaker?
also to
Okay, they are adding.
Skullcrack and Prime Light Beam for this update. And this is kind of
Okay,
an
thank God.
important philosophy concept to talk about. As we're talking more about philosophy, Josh, you know,
Which one is fucking Earthshaker?
These were all CC skills that they made the damage coefficient like
A
0.01.
really important idea when working on a balanced philosophy, which
So this
the
is
0.01
actually really important for
was
me to-
initially,
Yeah.
is the idea of when you can break the philosophy. And this is something that, you know,
This is
dates
something
back
that
to a
irritates
very
me.
old document internally from one of the original Guild Wars 2 balance designers, who basically the first bullet point of their philosophy was there are no rules. The first rule is that there are no rules. You need to understand when you can break the rules and when it makes sense to break the rules, because at the end of the day, the rules are never going to be all-encompassing or always perfect. And so this is, with Earthshaker and Skullcrack and Prime Light Beam, is kind of the first step into, well, where does the philosophy fail with 0.01? Because
What is fucking Earthshaker? It's driving me nuts. I'm looking it
a lot
up.
of cases where we kind of brought the damage down from.
I have
CC
Hammer
skills
5 in my
significantly
head, but
is
I
just a
can't,
good
that's
idea.
wrong.
No, that's Backbreaker.
Purity of purpose. There's another philosophy meme for you.
It
But
is
it's the idea that
the F1 on the
a
hammer
skill's identity
normally.
should be very well defined.
And it
skill
stuns,
should
but
be
apparently it
different.
also does
So
damage
a
now.
CC skill
That's
should
good.
do CC.
So the thing with
And
CC skills not doing damage is
Damage
Dazes still
isn't
do.
necessarily needed on a CC
Right
skill
now in the
because
game.
the rest of your kit does that, or your teammates capitalize on your CC. But when
Yeah,
we're looking
'cause
at
Daze is one of
the
those
kit holistically, looking at hammer, or looking
Kind
at
of a
mace,
hard CC,
then
not a hard
we
CC
kind of try to
thing.
balance around Earthshaker dealing no damage, Skullcrack dealing no damage, and we push the cooldowns lower and lower to the point that we don't really feel comfortable pushing those cooldowns any lower, because then you just have way too much CC on these weapons, and the weapon's still underperforming. So we need to give a little bit damage back, and the last kind of note on philosophy breaking, I guess, would be where to do it. And sometimes it's just necessary, which this is kind of one of those cases, but also it's more likely to break on elite skills, Prime Light Beam, for example. Grandmaster traits, kind of these more most potent options or most potent build slots are the best ways to break philosophy, but also on kind of iconic skills. When you think about Hammer War, you think about Earthshaker. Very iconic. Skullcrack, very iconic skill. Prime Light Beam, pretty iconic skill for Hollisman.
Yeah.
So these are good cases where we can kind of bend the philosophy. And we're not adding a ton of damage back. It's going to be around a 0.75 one-handed multiplier, which for Hammer, it's like, I was going to look this up because I forgot the exact number. It's like a 0.678, but people who know weapon strength, you know, Hammer weapon strength means that the coefficients are lower than on Mace, but the numbers are the same. It's very exciting math and all that stuff. Anyway, you know, somewhere in the 0.75 range for all of these these three skills that we've put a little bit of damage back on. But it's not something that we're going to be doing too widespread. This is very much the exception, not the rule. For example, Surge of the Mists, never, ever, ever.
Unfortunate.
That skill's very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yes.
yeah, notably, Skullcrack, not on the slide, but is included, getting a 0.75 damage multiplier. Prime Light Beam, I think it's like a 1.0 because he uses the utility strength.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And so I think that's all the warrior
That is it
changes.
for Warrior, yep. So next up we got
Yeah.
Engineer.
So that was a long bit.
Yeah.
Just something to remind that I think we talked about the earlier start. I need to drink some water, you know.
Cal needs to drink some water. Something we did, I believe. What he was
Warrior
going
has a
to
lot of
say.
changes. Other
Warrior
classes
has a lot
don't
of
have quite as
changes.
many.
Yeah, other classes will not have quite as many. Engineer has definitely got a
Okay,
good
so they
amount
let
of
off with
changes.
Warrior
We've got
for a
some
reason. Oh, that means
good
Arms
range
is the
as
same.
well.
Thank you, God.
Not as many for other classes.
I just
We
noticed he's
really
wearing
were
a
focusing on
water
couple for
bottle
this,
t-shirt.
for this build, and we've got changes for every single class at least.
They've
so,
been
you know,
joking
something
about.
for everybody. But yes, moving on, we're going to look at Engineer now. So there's
Dude.
sort of high-level things to look at. Our
Oh,
Scrapper,
good.
Hollow-Smith, and then the general class
Oh,
update.
please.
For Scrapper,
Hit it
we
over
are
the
removing
head.
Some of
What,
the
with
trade-offs.
Scrapper?
We're no longer going to have
No, it's not
the
Scrapper.
stat reduction.
Wait,
when you
Mechanist.
swap
Wait,
Scrapper.
where's Mechanist on this list?
Hollow-Smith.
They're not doing
You will
PvE,
still have
man.
the function gyro on the F5. so
Oh,
you're not going
you're
to
right.
get the tool belt for F5.
Did you see the? I don't know if you're
That
in
is something that
the
we're kind of
Slade's
looking into
Discord. I
for
get you an
potentially in
invite
the
if you're
future,
not. But
we don't wanna put it back on the
the
interactive
thing I
page.
posted, there was a good thing
So
on
it's
Reddit where it's like the
still
new
a question
profession
of
select
can
screen. It was
we
just
Find a place
Mechanist.
to put function
I saw that
gyro.
on the
You read it?
subreddit.
Yeah, that's really good.
It's definitely a reasonable.
You know what blows my brain out? Engineer
we
still
got
has
some
3 dots that they
Hollow-Smith
added.
changes,
Like they
which are
added this new
primarily
thing
gonna
with
be
like the difficulty in
there might
quotes
be
of
some buffs
classes, and
to
Engineer
do.
still has 3 dots, or it's like the
I hope
hardest.
not. That would be
It's like,
and then, of course, as I mentioned, we
maybe
got some
once
general
upon a
fixes
time,
in
man.
here, so I think we can probably
Yeah,
go
back
in
when you were
with
kit
the-
swapping every 2 seconds with like
Yeah.
Kanzi
We
nade
can talk about
stuff,
stuff,
like
right?
Talk about
Alright,
some
sure.
of the
So,
I guess we
Right.
can show them off. At some point.
Really? No,
I'll
Minefield
switch over
no
while
longer.
we
I
talk
mean, that
about-
makes
while we talk
sense.
about stuff.
Yeah, so World versus World.
Weird.
Scrapper wells are
Scrapper
now stationary.
Engineer is a very strong spec right now, and it has been for a very long time.
Weird.
and it's
Defense
needing more
field
than
kind
just
of
some other
makes
changes.
sense.
So the
Fumigate,
obvious, the very
cleansing
top,
field.
your World versus World
This
players
is, yeah, all
probably
World versus
might be
World
happy to
crap.
see this, unless you're Scrapper main, but nonetheless, Scrapper wells are now going to function similar
Alright,
to
where's the
other
barrier
wells,
trait?
In fact, so Chronomancer wells, Necromancer wells, they're ground.
One of the most
targeted,
overpowered things, in
skills,
my opinion, in World
which
versus
stay
World
in
right
place
now is
after
just
you place
the
them. That is going to be the same thing as Scrapper.
barrier trait on Scrapper. You know, when
So
they
the
do
functionality
damage,
of the
they
gyro is
get
not gonna be
barrier.
changing, although
Didn't they
if you do
nerf
have
that
the
down to
trait
the ground?
that affects it,
Only in
super speed on it,
PvP. It's
that
still
will be
15% in World
the
versus World, which is the
pulse
highest of all of the
That's
game modes.
just make it
too
a little
much.
easier to grab
Yes,
that
it
speed
is,
down
because you
there.
can just
Yeah,
run
use
Berserker
Scrapper.
gear and be immortal
But yeah,
and do all the
currently,
fucking
my,
damage in the world.
gyros, the wells, you follow the Scrapper
Feels like something Berserker should
We
have,
felt that was just a little bit too powerful.
which apparently it does now.
So they're not going to be doing that any longer. And fun little bit here is that the gyro is now going to be back in game too.
Yeah, I mean the gyro was above the player's head, but much smaller.
Yeah.
Now that it's a ground target effect, we made the gyro effect a lot,
Yeah, I remember when we used to have actual gyros that
can,
followed you around like ranger
bit.
spirits.
Dude, I thought they
As
were
your
gonna
wells.
sell when Heart of Thorns came out. I mean, no one had any idea what they were gonna monetize other than gliders, but like I thought they were gonna sell
I'm
little
showing off, dev menu
gyro
right now,
skins.
so,
There's so many things they could sell as far as like little like pet
So you can
skins,
see how large,
mechanist,
this is actually how large
golem
the gyros were
skins.
when they used to follow you around.
Looks good.
This is the true size.
They could. I mean, it would take a lot of effort, right?
pretty
Like, look
simple
how much
stuff.
effort it went into
So
developing
the
just
one
the
note
Jade
is
Bot
that this
skins,
is
and there's
kind
what,
of-
like
it
2 of
adds some
those
flexibility.
right now?
Obviously, there's a power
the
loss
$20?
from the gyro field not following you around.
Those are way
but
too
being able
much.
to cast this from.
I mean,
900
yeah,
meters
but also
away.
think of it cost of development time. I bet those actually lost them money. Like, I bet there was something that
Yeah,
was
they'll
planned to
do
release with End of
different
Dragons, and for
usability
whatever
and,
reason it just didn't
potentially
line
not
up,
as
and then,
strong as what it was
like,
before, but
who
definitely
cares?
still usability just
You
as
know?
much
I haven't
play.
looked at
You have the
like all the
ability to cast
animations
range
and
on
stuff
your
that it
allies,
changes,
that
so it
can
might
help
actually
people
be a
perform
significant amount of
your
work.
groups just playing
Okay.
versus world.
Yeah,
But
it's,
either
I
way,
mean,
as I
also
said,
just
Scrapper's
developing,
been
you
a
have
bit
to
of an
remember,
issue
this game's
for
10
quite
years
a
old, and
while.
developing the
World
individual,
versus
like,
World
coding,
definitely
like, the
quite
legendary
high.
armor to go in and
We do have some other
change,
changes.
Just a handful.
like,
We don't
even
need
just
to
create
run
the
through
slot, like, this
screen
is a
screen
changeable
share,
thing.
screen cap, and
I don't
freedom.
envy
You know,
the
just a few
programmers
shades
who
across
worked
the
on
board
that
to-
to make that work.
I can't imagine that's making them money.
Do you have anything else? Scrapper Kinetic accelerators. That's
Yes,
great to change.
kinetic accelerators, which is not up on the screen.
We can, I guess, show that in game.
Yeah.
The note here is that this used to give AoE quickness. That was added to the game for PvE reasons. We want that, you know, quickness scrapper to be a build that is accessible. That gives
Crapper?
you a lot of quickness uptime.
He almost
But
said
the kind
crapper.
of repeatable nature of this
Yeah.
is commonly an issue in competitive modes. We'll see a similar
Yes,
thing.
it
with,
is.
Echo was kind of a big deal with Herald. We'll talk about it a little bit.
Ah,
later.
thank God, they're finally
But
nerfing the
fundamentally,
overpowered PvP.
Scrapper does a
Because
bit too many
right now,
things at once.
Tempest in
Quickness
World
being
vs.
one of
World
those.
gives
And we
its
want
just
to
base 7
just rip
seconds
out-
of alacrity
rip
on
that out
overload,
in
and you can
competitive.
chunk that up with
Competitive only, this still
concentration.
gets
So they're,
quickness
Yeah.
I'm glad they're
But
addressing
in
all
competitive
that
mode,
shit
it's gonna
they
get
just
some-
put in the game.
Yeah.
Because I was fighting
Defensive
like a
games, obviously,
Tempest
group,
and something
but
else
we
the other
do
day,
want
and like,
focus on
and it was support
Scrapper.
Tempest. I was like, when the Tempest is around this guy, I just can't fucking kill them. Like,
So,
there's
next up we had some
So
holiday
no way.
Noodle on,
Again,
I did
these
like
are
the
primarily gonna
2v2
be
season when
PvP
they
focused.
just changed the Tempest overload thing to give
Yeah,
a
so you
lag.
see some grenade kit
And
changes.
two
buffing
Tempests
up the
together
damage
Oh,
on
yeah?
a handful of skills,
In
bringing the cooldown back down.
PvP
We're
with
kind of trying
like
to
just
find the
infinite
space
shocking
in
aura and
between the
alacrity
last
to
bit of
reduce
grenade
the
hollow nerfs
cooldown on
and
shocking
where it
aura,
is right
people
now.
just
So
couldn't
it's
play the
definitely fallen
game.
on the map.
Of course,
Definitely
there's
a big
shocking
improvement
aura
over
perma.
what
Like when we would
needed
run
to
small
be
group roaming, I already made a
dominant
perma
by
shock
force
shocking aura.
and
Like,
really much
you know, you run
more.
air and you just
So
constantly
freeze
switch
grenade
out of
notably
it,
is
switch
getting
into it.
all the
When they
damage
change
back, so we're
Transcendent
not playing
Tempest to
against
lower the
like
cooldown,
poison
but for some
and then
baffling
grenade
reason,
rush,
alacrity
like
affects
buff,
your like
cooldown coming
element
down.
swap
We have a
cooldown
couple other
because it's not like
changes
technically a weapon
for
skill, even though it
ultimate
should be.
as well.
So what the fuck?
Cauterize
Like, why
actually
would you
nice
ever take
ability
Transcendent
to
Tempest when you could just give
activate
all of your
less
allies?
punishing, less
This is the
duration.
like kind of
We
problem
actually
that I have
reduced
when
the
they do this sort of
honey
shit,
buns there,
because they did
but
something
my
similar to
activity
Warrior where they
bumped
made
up
like
the
one of the
healing
tactics
pool,
grandmasters give 3
yeah,
seconds of quickness whenever you hit with a
ultimate
burst skill,
heal
right?
choice,
Yeah.
And it has a
Again,
10-second
quickly
cooldown,
find
and
my
you can
weapons
chunk that up
for
with
1
concentration and stuff, right?
which is somewhere around.
So maximum 6 seconds of quickness
Yeah.
on a 10-second
So we have a couple
cooldown if you hit
more
with a burst
general
skill.
engineer changes.
The problem with that is,
Out as well.
in Discipline, there's a trait that
Yes,
when you hit
so
something
we
below
talked about
15%
earlier,
or 50%
overshield,
on a
cooldown
15-second
reduction,
cooldown, you
rolling
give
all
yourself
the cooldown
2.5
baseline
seconds,
for
which is
PvE
just
and World.
worse.
PvP, the cooldowns are back down to where they were. for
Like,
previously happened for
it's
Mechanist
it's that shit where it's like, okay, this trait is just better than this other one. Why would you like? And those are the thing with the Tempest one is they're in the same fucking line. And I understand that Transcendent Tempest also gives you a damage buff, like for PvE. So if you want to be selfish, you take that one. But it's just like, what the fuck?
It's because they make a lot of decisions in a vacuum, where they
No, I
don't
know.
even think about how it affects the rest, or how it compares to other choices in other lines, things like that. Yeah, it's so bad.
I know why. It's just very
more
weird.
exciting change, mechanized deployment. That's
Dude, I couldn't be happier, man. They fucking didn't nerf arms. They gave Berserker back its
It's
F1s.
actually quite powerful.
Oh, how am I
Really
gonna get
shows the
stability on
bonus.
Blaze
Yeah,
Form now?
important to
God
note,
damn
It
it.
will cleanse it when
That's
leaving
gonna
all
be
the forms.
rough. What
All forms, but
fucking,
will
what am
not
I
come
even
to
running
condition
on this
entering.
build right now?
Right, and that's mostly a balanced decision just to make sure it didn't blow out too hard, but it is still a very potent Condi Cleanse option for
I'm gonna have to drop Bull's Charge.
Kinetic Battery
Fuck.
might slight bump there, and
Bull's
take down
Charge is
round.
really
We remove
good,
the kind of
though.
I
weird,
know.
creating the
But if fucking Shake It Off doesn't have
exploding
ammunition anymore, that's
whatever it was on
gonna...
the ground.
hurt.
It's not a grenade, but
And you
know,
can't even reload
people
it.
it's just not a very interesting mechanic, not a very healthy mechanic, honestly.
Ow.
Missed very frequently. So there's just now a damage bonus while endurance is not full.
Yeah.
It's just a slight little.
I don't know, we
slight-
got 2 weeks for people to complain on the fucking forums. Maybe
Yeah, all of
they'll...
our NG changes,
talk
I believe
about-
So.
Yes, indeed. All right. So next
Revenant.
up is Revenant. Yes, we got a couple things to talk about here. Condition Revenant. Again, this is going to be mostly for PvP. Although, and then we got some Herald changes. And finally,
One herald change.
a Herald change. Okay, fair enough.
Please, the heal
Finally,
skill.
Vindicator, which is very exciting. We are in fact removing the trade-off.
Yes. So Vindicator will
What?
have 2 dodges,
What?
and
Two
they will cost
dodge.
50 endurance.
That means they're gonna do the same for
And they will
Mesmer
dodge
then.
much faster.
If
Well,
they
actually,
give me
so
my
that-
Mesmer dodge back, that's a
This is very
mistake.
fun.
It is much. It feels great.
And he knows it.
I've been playing with it internally, and it feels good.
Yeah, it's a good time.
But we can start with Condi Rip.
Yeah.
Because this is kind of in a similar spot to Nade Hollow, where a long time ago this build was really good. Resistance, it was a different boon back then, so we nerfed all the resistance durations, and then resistance got changed, and Condi Rip
Why
was
is it
very
not
bad.
resolution now?
And so
Please.
we,
They forgot resolution
Brought down some
existed as soon
energy
as they
cost a little
added
bit,
it, dude.
bumped up
None of the
some
warrior
resistance
shit gets
durations.
resolution.
gave a little bit of oomph on Echo Eruption with that ammo change, and also Torment is a notable
Eruption has
update
ammunition now?
here.
That's
That
fucking
is not on
weird.
the slide, but we'll talk about it. The last update to Torment, we changed the bonus damage from against moving targets to against stationary targets. And
Yeah.
mechanically, this is a pretty good idea for competitive, because it's very unhealthy
No, it wasn't.
to punish someone for moving when you are basically always moving. Unfortunately, the current version of Torment is just way too weak because you're always moving. You always get the weak side of Torment in competitive now. So we've kind of squished the range of Torment so that the base damage is maybe 10% under bleeding. I don't remember the exact number.
Somewhere
I think
around
it's
there.
10% less than
Yeah.
bleeding. Then the bonus is about 10-15% higher than
That's
bleeding.
good.
So it's
I like
much
that.
more reliable, much more
Torment change.
consistent, even against moving targets. Torment will be a relevant damage.
Only
source
took them 2
while
years.
still
That's I
maintaining
mean,
that
again, they had to
flavor
get
of
End of Dragons out, and I do forgive them for that, because
Yeah.
eating
and
food
obviously
is
this will
important.
impact any other class that applies.
Yeah,
to
they are
it.
trying now.
But of course,
Because,
it's
like, if
still
somebody
going to be
came to me
a
and
really
said,
big
hey, you know
part
that all
of
that work you did on that big
potentially
nerf patch
getting
and everyone's going to hate you
back
for it
into
for like 2 years,
getting that.
you need to get this expansion out or else you don't have a job, so you're doing something else now.
Right.
And I
So
totally
we
get that.
move on to
I
Herald,
really
so-
do. It felt like
one
shit
single
from a
update
player
here.
The one
perspective who
change
cares
there,
about balance,
pretty
but I get it.
similar,
From a
to
business
the
side,
Scrapper change,
I
which
understand.
Is that Iconic Echo,
Yeah.
that Grandmaster Herald.
I can
Now
still
it's
be
just
mad
light
about
that
it,
goes
but, you
in
know,
PvP and Oversoul.
not...
And again,
Get it,
People
it's
who've,
not
like-
hype about it.
very
Yeah.
much a PvE focused things give AoE quickness to Herald.
Again, I have a lot of
Pushed it
invested in this
maybe a
game,
bit.
but like the people who are like
Herald's
sending
good, way
Arena
over the
Net
top.
death threat,
Yeah.
don't do
Herald
that.
is a good class.
Stupid
That's
fucking
Iconic
people.
Echo already being
mean, do
taken
push-ups.
before
There's
it
better
gets
ways to
pushed.
show you
Yeah.
care
So, you know, it's probably,
than threatening
brings
people.
it
And
down.
Yeah.
he doesn't want more
What
might.
kind of
Yeah, I mean, it's like one
sociopathic?
might stack
I don't
because,
know.
again, the trade is already pretty good.
Yeah.
But we wanted to, you know, keep the flavor.
Is this
of
only
this is-
PvP?
this
Okay,
is
so they're
PvP.
actually like really splitting a lot of the traits because it still gives quickness in
That is
PvE.
going to be it for Herald. So finally, yes. Now Vindicator,
Huh.
which
Well,
Feels like
all right.
in PvP
Let me
world,
swap
they're
over to the
undoing
Vindicator.
a
You can
lot
talk
of
talk about it
the
for a second.
You want to talk about Awakening?
Trade-offs.
July
So Awakening-
It's a
changes
minor
they made.
tool,
a little bit of a.
Well, they're
of a
undoing
change
a
here.
lot of the
Again,
in
this is gonna
quotes
be aimed
trade-offs,
at
which is
getting
really
those
weird.
AoE stun breaks, as we mentioned with Warrior.
that was like a
back up-
big
or into
design
some other classes,
philosophy.
Obviously. So Awakening is now going to have a lower energy cost.
What the
It's
fuck
now
is
going to be
Awakening?
instant cast ability as well, which is obviously really important for
Oh, look
sunbreaking.
at that reduced
And
dodge
the
evade
radius, which is
window.
really the big
It's
part of
done-
this, is
it's
going to
half
increase
as
from
much
360
now.
to 600.
I mean,
this should
good.
really allow you to do, you know, it'll be a lot easier to
The cool
sunbreak
thing
out,
about Vindicator is in one of the
especially more
betas, the
low
dodge
type
actually traversed
situations where
terrain.
you're
Like if you
probably
could
gonna
blink
be a little
up there,
bit
it would
out.
traverse terrain. And I really want them
Again,
to change
similar
Stomp
to,
on
you know,
Warrior
other
to do
changes they're
that,
making,
so that
similar
Warrior
to
has a true
how
blink. But
sunbreaks work in other
you know,
classes.
fuck me, I guess.
And so, good
Yeah.
change.
So dodge. I mean, the information is up here on the screen.
What is
You know, it
Awakening?
Costs less endurance to dodge. It gives you less evasion. But let's
Cost
show it off.
activates
Yeah.
instantly.
absolutely.
It's the
So I have the
weird
damage dodge equipped right now, but I mean it's the same
Kurzik
for all of them.
stun
Now,
break.
Let's see how fast. Let's see how fast this is, Roy.
All right, fine,
I'll
fair
time it.
enough.
Wow, that looked like 0.8 seconds to me.
Wow, it was exactly 20 seconds.
Yeah, I timed that. So,
So obviously,
Wow, that looked
This-
like
we've reduced
fuck
the
off.
effectiveness of all of these dodge skills as well.
Okay,
to
good.
compensate
I was
for
like,
the
if they
reduced
don't
energy
decrease
costs
the
that we do.
effectiveness of like the
Right.
fucking power one, I was like, I'm not
But
playing
again,
World
getting
versus
$2
World.
Vindicator, making sure you're not spending too much time just sitting in the air. That also,
Yeah, this is-
that kinda
this is
felt bad
good.
from both sides as
It
well.
did.
So this just kind of cleans it up.
As somebody
Makes
who
it-
It feels
played
really good.
Vindicator
It
for
feels
about
really
8 seconds, that
Slight
felt
shave to
horrible.
energy meld too, because this used to give you 50 endurance when you need 100.
Good.
When you need
Okay, thank
100,
God.
Now it'll give you
25.
'cause you-
All right,
yeah.
balancing some of the shit.
Again, just
Come
we'll
on,
be keeping an eye
cap
on,
off the
how these
stream with,
skills are
and we're
balanced
doing runes
between
and
the
sigils. Come
50.
on, man.
We just kind of
You can do it.
No.
about
that's-
have the most of them.
You ask too
since we
much.
have the
I
endurance
don't ask
cost,
too
there's
much. It's
slight
been 3
tuning,
fucking
but
years,
we'll
man.
mostly be waiting and seeing.
And we're giving you bonus runes. I'm gonna go that far. Newer runes, right?
Believe that
Right,
is the
where are
full
EOD
30 of
All
them.
the revenant changes.
Not even just EOD. We're doing EOD
What's that?
and like new shit.
Yes.
It is
Like
thief.
10 more.
Indeed. I definitely didn't cheat looking at the screen.
Oh, thank you, God.
But yes, we were talking about how Blade Sworn's running a little rampant in
Yeah.
PvP. Spectre, on the other hand, pretty okay right now.
It might be up there.
Oh yes, no, that's also probably a bit of a problem.
All of
so
tournament
the
play is
Shadow
Spectre, in
Shroud
case you
health
didn't
scaling is
know.
going down.
I am, yeah.
And you haven't really
Aware of
mentioned
that.
this class. I don't know if you wanted to mention this, but we were, definitely. I think in the future we probably want to remove the
Because it turns
trade-off.
out Thief
Yeah,
was
the
like
reduced
really
initiative
good.
cost is definitely one
And,
of
like,
the trade-offs.
Necro
of the
Thief
field,
is,
but
like, very
really
good.
kind of- it heavily impacts your interaction with non-scepter weapons,
Yeah.
especially. And we did kind of compensate a little bit by giving access to the shroud skills, but it's still one of the ones that doesn't feel great. We'd like to get to it at some point.
You know what? They
But
could
Spectre
shit
has
on
a
a
big
plate
problem
for the
with
rest of the stream, and I would be okay with this balance
Make
patch.
sure we get it a bit more balanced before we remove the
Like,
trade-off
Cal
there.
could stop
This is the
talking
same
mid-sentence, pull his
health-
pants
health
down, and just
to
take a
shroud
dump on the
scaling
desk, and I
that
would be
Necro
okay with
mentioned.
this balance patch.
And
I mean, hey, you
currently,
know, whatever he
there's
wants to
just
do, as
so
long
much-
as the
you see
game's
carrying
better
in your
balanced.
with Spectre right now, you have
Yes.
quite a bit of shroud help.
Yeah.
Especially on a class that has a ton of mobility. Not the most healthy, I would say, to
Yeah.
be bulky and high mobility. So this is.
I
bringing
like
it
that
down
Roy
very
seems to have
significantly,
matured a
But
lot.
similarly, this is kind of putting it
I
into the
don't
spot
really
where we
know
want
Roy.
it to be.
I
and we
just-
can
he
balance
was-
the,
From what I understand, I think he was like a very
Shroud gain,
overreactive,
cost,
unless I'm
we
thinking of a
balance
different
the-
Roy,
you know,
like
the
tournament
any number of
caster,
players
and then he
from
went to
here
work for
once we see the
ArenaNet,
impact of this
and he
game.
seems to have like,
Absolutely.
at
Slight
least they
nod
made it
to
like maybe reined
Deadeye
it in a
as
little
well
bit.
with the Noble
It's
Shadows.
good. Because
Slight
that was the biggest
reduction.
problem I had with him, is
This
he was
was,
just a
you know,
meme
a
lord,
pretty
and I was like,
powerful trait
okay,
that
if
we
you can
added
be a
with the
meme
last
lord
Shadow
and
Lord
do your
rework,
job, I'm fine with it.
And just bring it down a slight bit to give slightly less super speed, because 4 seconds is a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
So, it makes this one. 2 plus 2 is 4.
Again, quick mass. We're really working it.
Yes. So a couple. You want to talk about the trait reworks?
They should sell the
Yeah.
water bottle
So again,
shirts.
obviously, a couple of several, in fact.
Wait, is it actually
300 second
in-
traits on Thief.
in
the
Crichton
one
or
that
something?
isn't up there, Shallow Grave.
On the
Spectre,
water bottle shirt? I
has
don't
also
know.
been
Yeah.
reworked.
Probably.
So instant reflexes.
That one actually mostly got tuned.
Right, yeah. It's not a
I saw it for a
complete
brief second,
rework
but-
exactly, and it still has a
The
decent
cooldown is
but-
lower. The conversion of healing is lower in competitive.
Right.
Specifically.
And the interaction,
and the
which is pretty important, the interaction
have a
with
water
Vapor
bottle
Form,
emote,
downstate
perfect.
Elementalist is gone now.
yes, Shallow Grave will no longer revive vapor forms.
Yeah. But yeah, so going back, so instant reflexes is now going to give you, it's going to trigger on elite skill.
Dude,
So
not
again,
having
kind of using
ammunition
the
on
same
Shake
trigger
It
that we
Off's
used
gonna
In
hurt.
a couple different places, just a lot healthier than.
And
than
you
a
can't
passive,
reload it. Oh my
and
god,
so
that's gonna...
trigger on the elite skill. Hard to
That's
catch,
gonna
he's
suck
give you
balls,
endurance.
Anrek.
It's a very small number. But
You're
he's gonna give
the
you endurance after
highest
shadow stepping.
defense and health
We wanted to
class
put it at
in
a
the
small
game.
number, so
that- I'm gonna
obviously
tell you
because
something
we
right
have
now
a lot
that
of
doesn't
shadow
mean
steps
shit
on Thief,
anymore.
especially if you're on Spectre.
I would
or
rather be
Wells.
Guardian Health and have
So we're
their
gonna be
utility
keeping
shit.
an eye on it, making sure that it isn't blown out of
Oh,
proportion.
well, I mean, blue
and
class
if it does
is
seem to be underperforming,
just
then we can
overall
just
way
boost that
too good
number up
right
if
now.
we need to.
Well, okay, literally
And the
anything
last note
else,
here is Royal
because,
Bounty. This
like,
is another nod to kind of expanding stability.
I'm
access
gonna tell you right now, I literally have
Spectre,
2,500 toughness
not
on that
really a
build
viable
on
support
Warrior,
pick
and I
for
still
something
get
like
chunked.
Overworld, where
Like,
we are
toughness
trying
doesn't
to
do
make a
shit,
lot of
and
these things
vitality
work,
doesn't
but
do
it's
shit with the
something
amount of
we're
Kandi
going to
application
look
world
into
versus
for
world.
future update.
That's the
And
other
while
part of
it's
it
really
was
sources
way
all
too
down
much
in
Kandi
sense,
application for my
this no longer has the
taste.
possibility
I don't even-
of every boost
I don't
you
even
do,
agree with that. I just
but
think
it will now
Celestial's way
always
too
give you
good.
stability on pulse 1.
Yeah.
And then it will
I think
always
there's
be
ways-
slight
That is a
and
problem.
Fury and then
I think
Fury
there's
and then-
honestly ways to deal with
And
the
something
Kandi
I
application,
actually
like
do for
cleansing
attention
sigil
is
is way
instant
better,
reflexes,
like it
which is
cleanses
probably
3
kind of
instead of
important.
1.
Dagger Strike,
Like, there's
which is
just
doing
shit
elite
like
skills, does in
antitoxin
fact
runes are in the
already
game.
give
There's
you
ways to
evasion
deal
while
with
you're
it.
channeling the ability.
You
And
can
so we made
decrease,
sure
you
that
can
the
take the
evasion
celestial
from
food
this
that
reflex
decreases
is
the
having to
Kandi bounties,
end
like all
on
of
the
them that
skill
you get by
cast instead of
20%. Like
beginning
there's
doesn't
ways
look
to
right.
deal with it. It's just that Celestial gives you
And
literally
one final note there is
6,200
that
stats
this
compared to a
trait actually
3
has a
stat, which
30-second
gives you
cooldown, just to
3,600,
make sure
which
that
is literally
they-
double.
Yeah,
And if you
evasion
have
and get evasion
the
and
new
get
food that they put in for the anniversary,
but that
it
doesn't
is
really
literally
impact any
double.
of the elite skills on any of these
Yep.
specializations.
Absolutely.
They've gone back and forth on
That is
buffing and
I mean,
nerfing
again,
how many,
some smaller
how much
changes, but some
stat you get
impactful
from
changes.
Celestial.
Or
Yeah, I
fewer
think
number
it's just a
of
bit
changes,
Especially
overtuned
for
still. They just need to
especially
shave it down.
Spectre, yeah.
Well, it's fine if it gives
We'll see
concentration
how it
and
plays out.
expertise. I've
The
been
Spectre
saying
is
that it
definitely
should do
nice.
that for years, but even when we were talking about them
It
adding that
can
to
be
it to
that
balance
way.
everything out, we were like, okay, also this should decrease the amount of stats that you get by like 20% or
Right.
something. Because
Well,
that's
we-
insane.
First up, we'll have some Scourge changes.
It giving me as much ferocity as Berserker gear is
Again, like I
insane.
mentioned, will probably affect Necromancer a little bit.
Oh.
Scourge. But there's two big changes here with Scourge
Ripple?
that
Interesting.
really mostly are aimed for World versus World. The first being that punishment skills used to, when you would corrupt a boon, it would turn into Torment
Interesting,
and
alright.
Cripple. It is now going to just turn into Torment. And yes, we
Water.
all appreciate Cal's drinking. But because of this, obviously, and the reason for this is just because that function, it just provided too many covered conditions. It was a little bit too strong.
Yes.
To get two conditions on one player for corrupting one boon, and so
They
in
should have like
return,
one
we
shot
now
of
going
him
to
just like
increase the
drinking
amount of
something
bonus
completely
stats,
different,
from 1 to
ridiculous.
3.
Yeah, we wanted to try to
See if
keep some of
people
the
catch it.
Yeah,
unique
and just
flavor
like,
to
what the
the
fuck
Scourge
was that? That
content.
wasn't water. It was some
There
kind
is
of
some
Japanese
content
orange
that
drink,
can
and then
change
just
them
back
in
But
to
just
water.
don't ever acknowledge
Yeah,
it.
don't ever draw
Table.
attention to it or something.
But for the-
Or he just
the
like
first
takes a
pass,
sip
if
out
we
of a
want to
teddy
try
bear
to
or
keep that
something.
Flavor, make it a little bit more aggressive, make it targeted always Torment, especially with the Torment buff.
Yeah.
It's definitely something we're trying, but if it
Trail of Anguish. I
ends
don't
up
even
being
know
a
what
little
that
bit
is.
too weak, we'll probably just
I
change them
think
to
it's the stun break.
Yeah. And of course, something that again, I'm sure a lot of my
That
World
leaves,
School
like,
friends will be
the
very happy to
jizz
see.
field
Trail
on the
of Anguish
ground.
will now have a target cap.
Oh.
This is both for affecting enemies and allies. And I believe that target cap is
That is
10.
correct. It is currently 10, kind of in line with a lot of the other line CC skills.
Yeah.
Or line skills.
Well,
that
it's
affect
still
large
high.
number
10 is
of
a
targets than
lot.
it is in the CC, but
It's
similar
not like a 10 in
concept.
AoE.
And,
It's
you know,
a
for now it's gonna be
line,
10.
I
We can
guess.
always evaluate
So it's
and-
not.
Yeah, but they could run behind you, so if you're leading
True.
on it, it was just infinite
But,
like
really
stacking
different.
stability to your Zerg, and because Scourge was still
Necro's
good
already
because of the AoE, I
Necro
can see why
is
they did
already
that.
pretty good.
competitive, so
Yeah.
fewer updates. That's kind of what
Oh
I'm saying.
god, no.
Yeah. Mesmer though.
Oh, what's that?
What is that?
First
No.
one.
Oh,
First line
don't
is
do
pretty
that.
Exciting. So yes, a couple.
Oh,
trade-offs
don't do
moving
that for
here.
Virtuoso.
Ornamental
Now they have
Virtuoso,
two of them.
there's
Fuck
Distortion back,
you.
Fours. So that
Notably,
probably
Virtuoso.
Ah.
Once
be
upon a
having-
time, Chronomancer did
Ow.
have
they'll
distortion.
be having their distortion on their fours, and Chrono will still have continuous split on F5 like it used to.
Rip. He's just
And,
fucking
yeah, so of
grinning
course,
because he
muscle
sees the
memory,
chat.
you know,
Dude,
will take a little
fuck
bit of time to
this.
retrain,
I play
but
Mesmer and
it is
fuck
still
this.
definitely a much better change, I think, giving the distortion to these specs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
zero
Virtuoso
dodges.
in competitive modes.
Wish.
Probably, I mean, especially in World v World. We'll see if this pushes over the top of PvP. I'm not too confident that it will. It's something that we're looking into for a future update.
It's a
kind
lot of
definitely struggled
invuln,
to
man.
find its footing.
Yeah.
Probably one of the End of Dragon.
Which is weird, because on paper, Virtuoso's really good.
And we want to make sure that Virtuoso can see some play in these game modes, but it's not something we have time to do for this update.
Yeah. The next two changes are aimed mostly at Boon Rip, specifically for Chronomancer and World vs. World. Phantasmal Disenchanter is going to be losing some Boon Rip.
Dude, that's a
No Field,
lot of
well, not losing
stab.
anything is going to have an increased cooldown.
Right, and we definitely
That's
are
a
planning a larger
shitload of
investigation
stab.
of the Boon Rip versus Boon
That's the
application.
best
But the
stab straight.
cooldown
in the
is
next
pretty
major balance
hefty,
update.
if I remember
Well,
Since
me-
right.
we were doing a pretty
I mean,
relevant
not that
buff to
Firebrand
Mesmer
needs
here
it, but
with
Firebrand's
Concentration.
stun, like, elite
We felt
skill
it was
is
the right
now
time to
worse than
bring
this,
down
and
a
that's a
bit
utility
of their
skill.
other potencies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because in
fact,
World
so
that's
vs.
just, you know,
World,
a
whatever the
pretty-
fuck it
pretty big
is,
update. Increasing the
elite
radius, similar
Firebrand
to
thing
Awakening,
is
trying to make it
down
more
to
competitive
2.
with like shouts.
Yeah.
And-
Specifically, stand your ground on Firebrand.
No, it was
So
in
now
they
it'll be a
didn't
lot
change it in
easier
World vs.
to,
World. They
well,
chickened out, right? They
probably
only changed
see,
it in
Mesmer taking
PvE.
concentration now to apply stability to allies, and so it'll obviously have a little bit of an increase in the ammunition recharge just to balance it out because it already has 2 charges.
Yeah,
but
that's
a
what
lot easier to
concentration
apply
does give it to
stability there.
allies,
With
not
that
just
skill,
you.
it should be
Yeah.
a pretty competitive.
Yeah, it's really
stability
good.
access skill.
It was
And
already
for
really
the
good. It
Mesmer
was just
makes sense. But
low-key
again,
good, and
Cal
now it's
said
like
we wanted to just make
600.
sure that we weren't, blowing the Boon Rip out of proportion.
The problem is, a lot of
before
times you
taking a
don't
deeper look at
have
it later
much
on.
more
So that's
room
why
in
the
Mesmer
change
builds
up
for
there.
that kind of
Okay,
stuff,
so I think
for
we're finally-
Yeah,
utility slots.
Mesmer
Finally,
utilities
maybe.
are already really good,
Unless there's another
especially if they're
class, who knows?
decreasing
Whoa,
null
there
field.
is.
Oh, wait a minute.
Wait,
it's
there's
Elementalist.
Elementalist?
The class that everyone knows you for. He
Final
forgot that
shielding.
it existed. But hey, again, nothing too major with Elementalist here. Obviously, we had a couple of 300
Shit.
traits that we had to rework for this class, and we are getting a little bit of a buff there for the.
We were using Gale's song. Fuck!
Elementalist, Eye of the Storm. That's what I'm talking about.
We were using that.
Yeah,
God
it's a
damn
minor
it! We
trait
need that
with
for Harvest
Final Shielding
Temple.
elite skill, and then just reworking Earth Embrace is a minor trait
Shit.
or an add-up trait rather, so it doesn't need to be as
Alright.
exciting. Gale Song honestly is the same slot, so we're just doing some pretty...
I like that they staggered this PowerPoint
yeah,
based on like they
standard
knew people were gonna freak out about shit.
Barrier on Earth Movement, daily product or healing skill. Nothing too crazy, but
Like,
again...
they're like,
I
okay,
also
how
like
is
doing
this gonna
thing
play
from
like
one
as
point of
people are
view.
reading
Very
it,
important.
reading it?
And I will save Cal from saying that Guardian's up next because we do have some Catalyst
There are some Catalyst nerfs.
changes. Yep.
You
for
know,
PvP.
Thank
there's a lot of
God.
speculation
Catalyst
that
is
always
cracked
just
in
always get
PvP
buffed
right now.
but that is
That's
unfortunately
crazy.
not true.
I actually made an Elementalist for the first time when I heard you were team lead.
Yeah, that's actually why Grouch has been streaming
Yes, he's been
Staff
getting ready for
Weaver
this. He had
for
the
a while.
insider info, yeah. He knew.
But Catalyst is something that it's right up there. It's
Yeah.
not at the same level as Spectre, Bladesworn,
Bruh.
Herald.
Right.
But with
Bruh.
all three of those getting pretty significant reductions, we wanted to make a few changes to Catalyst. just to bring it
Bruh.
down,
Catalyst is
make sure it
cracked
doesn't
right now.
Dominate the meta. So
You
if we can
know
move
it.
this Slide. There's just a couple of
Oh.
defensive shapes here, bringing down some of these changes that were
I didn't even know they got barrier.
kind of undoing some of the buffs from March when we did that big pass on Catalyst and made it a lot more powerful.
Alright. That's fine.
And maybe a couple of extra.
I don't know, smarter people than me in
I think we
PvP.
have
'Cause
Guardian.
the PvP is not my game
Finally
mode, right?
Guardian. I actually
Smarter
Yeah, I
people
gotcha.
than me will
yeah.
figure this
This is the
out.
first time we've ever even seen these notes. But yes, so
Great
Guardian
launcher
going to be
of
getting some changes
liberation
here.
forever.
These are pretty much going to be primarily nerfs for Guardian since it is performing very strong in World vs. World on multiple classes, multiple specs. Nothing really relevant for PvP other than we are, again, of course, reworking the 300-second trait that is in Dragon Hunter. But we'll go over the trait changes if you want.
Yeah, this isn't like a huge, complete rework because it is kind of the still same on elite trigger, but we've refocused the trigger into kind of the more defensive aspect of this because we're considering that this is going to be triggering
The
off
triggers after.
Dragon
well,
Maw.
Yeah.
yeah. I
So
hope
if we
the
drop
triggers
Fragments of
after.
Faith after Dragon's Maw, that's potentially a lot of damage happening.
Yeah.
So this actually no longer deals damage at all. It just drops essentially as if you had already triggered Fragments of Faith. It will give you Aegis, it'll give you Stab, and then it will drop
That wasn't
some
the good part of
Aegis
it, though. The
fragments
good part
or-
was that it stun
those
broke
always
you.
happen. You don't need to drop Trap, you don't need to trigger Trap. There's some Aegis Fragments. Again, on elite
That
trigger,
sucks nuts
more
now.
defensive focused. Nothing too crazy, honestly.
Yeah. Good trait.
Pretty solid.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, it has cooldown less than 300 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. That's a pretty good argument for taking it now. But all right, that is, I believe, it for Guardian. And I think that's all the classes, right? There's no more?
I think we have Ranger.
Oh.
We talked a little bit about Ranger at the start.
Now, there's nothing too major with Ranger happening, I'd say. Nothing
Yeah,
too
they
crazy
not giving
going
me
on
my
there.
dodge back. They
There's
knew
some
it.
crazy changes, actually.
Oh, are they? Okay.
A few.
Okay.
Maybe just one that I would call is actually crazy.
Okay.
That's with Soul Beast that we'll get to later.
So
Let's talk about
Oh, they're giving Soul
Let's
Beast
talk
the
about
pet swap and they're not
Druid.
giving
So
me my
obviously,
dodge
as we
back.
mentioned
Oh, that
earlier,
hurts
we have
so
that teaser
much.
image, and
That
we're
hurts
going
so
to
much,
Druid,
Henrik.
having the pet stat reductions.
Oh.
So that trade-off is just going to be gone. But we've also got just some general trait updates and some other skill updates as well for Druid.
Right. So
Oh,
tuning up
my
a bit of the
butt.
glyphs, that's notable because of yes, always. You know, I keep bringing up this dev menu that I forget to close out, so we can never come back to the game screen. But we're fine. We're fine now. So notably, we changed verdant etching. This is the trait that used to drop a seed of life on the ground when you use the glyph skill. Now gives verdant. And one of the goals here was that making support Druid viable in competitive modes is something that historically never really has been.
Yeah.
And we've seen kind of the side node Druid in PvP, and we've seen.
I say there was a
some sort of
decap node druid that was
Druid
really good for like
domination,
8 seconds before they
mobilization,
nerfed it
was
immediately.
mobilize.
It
Obnoxious.
doesn't mobilize, yeah.
But it
I
has
really
not
hate that
been,
playstyle,
you
and
know,
I
a
love
true
it.
support class, and so one of the things we're
I was
trying to
actually
do
playing
is make
decap
it
scrapper
more
when
of
it
a
was
true support
stupid.
class, which
That was
involves
so much fun.
giving it a few more tools that it didn't previously have access to. And
They
why do have
deleted
force
that.
spacing?
That's a great question. I couldn't tell
I
you.
do not have.
Yeah, I
lingering
noticed
light
that.
equipped.
Is it passively
You
increasing
don't
over
have any traits
time
equipped right
now?
now, actually.
What?
Well, we have the minor trait. We have
Astral Force.
natural mender.
Oh, look at that.
We've moved the passive
Yeah, there you
astral
go.
generation from lingering light onto the minor trait, so that all druid builds have
I wonder if
access
that's all
to it.
game
If you're
modes.
More aggressive with Grace of the Land. You're going for the immobilized
That's
build.
gotta be.
You just have more astral force. So that's
I
kind
wonder
of
if there's other
definitely
ways to
a problem
augment
in
that, or if
modes.
it's just static like this.
This also no longer has that kind of weird stacking component. It's just going to give you a flat healing bonus, like pretty much every other outgoing healing bonus trait works on other professions. So the
Revenant.
prot on verdant etching, we want to tune up a couple of the glyphs as well. So if we hop back to these slides, I think we have a couple of notes on what those changes are. Just some minor number tuning on stuff like alignment and equality, kind
Good.
of glyphs that could
Good.
see play.
Yeah.
And tides maybe not
That's
so much.
really
but
good.
I could see the heal.
That's
glyph and maybe
amazing. Is
alignment
stars
now
still
and
10
equality
people?
and Glyph the stars,
Yeah, Glyph of the
no
Stars.
longer channeled.
which is probably a little bit more of what I would say is the significant part of a lot of the glyph reworks. Yeah, so previously, or
I don't think it's 10, is it?
Yeah, it's one of the two things that's like still 10.
That's a long time.
It's a little hard to use.
Quite as long as 300 seconds, but it is still pretty long. And so we have, it's no longer a channeled skill.
It actually might not be since they did the most recent nerf thing, but
on some other classes. This is going to be a little bit different than the stability we put on.
It says 5.
Concentration,
right.
a little bit of,
I believe that.
From that
it was one of the like
two
that and Time Warp were like, is Time Warp still 10?
God,
fucking Time Warp. Ain't it? Do something about that skill.
Trying to get some more competition in with some stability skills.
5 seconds of
quickness.
quickness.
Different way. Put it on elite skill.
Forever cooldown.
It makes a lot of sense to put it on Druid when, again, as Cal mentioned, we're trying to kind of push that support Druid in, specifically again with World War.
They're like updating the wiki in real time.
Gives stability on both halves, both the base and the Celestial version. To make space for it, we removed a couple of things that were previously granted there. The base version no longer gives you Condi immunity, which is
one stun break on Warrior. Fuck me, man.
So while we were adding stability, we figured we just rip that out. We've seen the joys of Winds of Disenchantment back when it was a full boon.
Yeah, that's right. Time Warp. Still a 2-minute cooldown.
But then on the back half,
it was really good when it's 10 people.
Protection, because then we now put the trait for protection. And we've also reduced, since it's now a ground targeted skill, it's only 6 pulses. The revive happens, the numbers per pulse are higher because it used to do like 18 revive pulses, now it does 6. But then it's still the same boons and all the other stuff that it does.
Yeah.
Interesting they didn't roll the cooldown reduction of Glyph of Stars and all the other glyphs
pretty
into
excited
the
about
glyphs.
this again, trying to hopefully get some competition with Guardian. And again, just make Druid a much better option there for.
Yeah, we have a couple more trade updates.
But good attempt
as well, which on the next slide I believe, or we can show them in game. I don't remember. So there's a couple things. We talked about all these actually.
Yeah.
Well, most of them. Cultivating Synergy, just a slight healing coefficient buff.
Dude, nerf ancient
the big one here
seeds
that we haven't talked about already, Druidic Clarity. This used to cleanse all conditions from yourself when you enter Avatar. Very powerful. Historically problematic even in competitive modes in certain metas. And so we wanted to bring that cleanse down to a more reasonable number, such as 3, but it now cleanses allies as well. So a nice little nod to...
Oh, it always...
Again, should feel a lot better for Druids that want to try to support their allies. And again, even though, 13 conditions cleansing at once is potentially problematic, it probably wasn't happening that often. So, it definitely seems like just a better trait in general. And again, just getting that synergy with getting support Druid again into the meta and really making it feel better to help your allies.
Yeah. And so we have a couple more kind of Q-will adjustments to talk about that we can show off in game. So the first one is Staff 2 ally targeted, which we did talk about. Let's see what it actually does. We changed the effect a little bit. So this used to do like the thing where the projectile would attach, and then the projectile actually needs to strike your ally to heal them. Just maybe a little bit clunky. So now it's just going to do kind of a healing area. You can see the blue outline of here's the healing pulse radius.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, they also, the big thing is they also unnerf pet stats.
Ally targeted.
Yeah, you had like a 20% reduction before, now it's
stronger heal.
So just fuck Mirage, I guess.
So much more reliable. And last up, we have a change to Seed of Life.
Yeah, Mirage didn't get the dodge.
Some people may remember... Or,
never hitting anyone with the skill.
No one has ever landed a Seed of Life because there is the long cast time followed by the very long detonation time.
Virtuoso gets 2 invulns now. That's and Chrono can
instantly.
reduce them. That's gonna Chrono.
Because we sit here rambling too much. Now activates instantly and it explodes much faster.
I look forward to fighting just infa chain or invuln chain power burst Chronos and PvP forever.
The radius is a little bit larger too, 240 up from the and it's instant, so you can do cool stuff like
Chrono back to cracked.
Avatar, you can get your blast finisher more AoE cleanse.
More advanced Druid.
We actually reduced the Condi cleanse here in competitive because if you can actually hit someone with a skill, 3 Condis is probably too much.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is on a very short cooldown as well.
Yes. Right. But some nice usability improvements in addition to Glyph of the Stars.
You'll actually be able to use it.
We can actually show this off. You just cast this and then you run around.
There you go. That's how it should be.
Cool. Indeed. I believe that is it for Druid.
I believe that is correct.
Yes.
So
we now get the...
Oh, right. Soul Beast.
Soul Beast is a pretty fun
stuff.
God. I'll talk about this one.
All right.
I think he's very excited about it.
Pet swap in combat.
Yeah.
Done. The trade-off is gone. Notably, all the traits that give you something on pet swap.
I'm sending this to Juice, man.
Entering beast mode because that is kind of the compensation.
He said
losing pet swap and is no longer needed.
Yeah.
Leader of the pack. This is another nod to increasing stability access in World versus World because Dolyak stands much more reliable, much more easy to And last up, we have a rework to Eternal Bond. This is obviously the 300-second cooldown trait of
They
Soul
take a
Beast, thank
CC
you.
for you, I think.
I know. Ooh, almost screwed this up. Setting up the demo real
I
quick.
forget which one Eternal Bond is.
And this is a pretty exciting
It's the one that stun
rework,
breaks you, I
would
think.
say.
This is probably
should
the
be pretty good.
craziest change in the whole patch.
Yeah,
We'll
gonna be a
just-
good one.
Let's just
Oh,
preface
this might
it
have been
with
the
that.
one that knocks you out of Soul
So
Beast when you
notably,
would
this
be
was kind of a
downed.
defensive. You had the same life-saving mechanics as Dead or Alive, not super healthy, but we wanted to keep the idea of this is a
Oh,
more
yeah, it's the
sustained
one that
trait
would
because
kill you.
We have the damage trait here, and we have the stance trait. We wanted that same defensive sustaining trait in the Grandmaster slot. So let's just hover the tooltip and let people read this real quick. What does it say, Roy?
Well, I'll read it too. Heals when using a merged skill. So again, keeping that sustain there.
You can swap
But
while
what's also
merged.
kind of interesting about it is
Jesus.
now
That's
you can swap
amazing.
pets while you're merged.
Jesus.
Oh, that is.
That's pretty exciting. So again,
Some
you can
exciting
swap
stuff.
pets while you are merged in
So
beast mode.
let's show it off.
Jesus.
We'll go into beast mode. Currently, I do not have the trait equipped.
Jesus
But also shout out to the
That's
programmer
a-
who built
ooh,
this Beast UI
that's worth a
however many years
Grandmaster.
ago,
That's worth
because it
killing
does actually support
myself.
4 skills very cleanly.
Yep.
So I have now,
Ooh, look at that.
what is Eternal Bond is now a skill on your skill bar, and all it says is meld with the other pet. And
Absolutely.
also this does count as swapping pets, which is also exciting.
Yeah.
Because it'll trigger all your pet swap traits.
Yeah.
But you see I am merged with my River Drake. Shout out to the River Drake pet.
Good time.
Maybe I take off no recharge so we can actually use some cooldowns. Maybe I could, not important. We'll just use some cooldowns here, and then we will swap to the brown bear.
Oh my goodness, and he didn't even
And we
leave
have
beast
now
mode.
swapped pets.
That's
while
incredible.
merged.
What button was it?
So it's pretty
It's
exciting.
your
Like
pet
this
swap
mechanic is
Yeah,
just kind of
it's
crazy.
F4. This is kind of crazy,
The goal
Cal.
here obviously was to make the synergy with using merge skills
God.
cleaner. In that you can use
I'm gonna
the
shoot
3 skills
myself
on
in
one
the
bar,
head.
Good,
swap
because
your
there's
other
so
pet,
many
and use the other 2
Yes.
skills and
Traits
get the maximum
for
sustain
swapping
without having
pets that you don't
to
really
exit
get
and
access
remerge.
to.
But it's
Well, they
also
So many
just a
traits for
cool
using
mechanic.
your
It trigger
And
when you
it might
enter.
skills.
We will
could
definitely be
yeah.
balancing this trait going forward,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
the idea is really exciting. It's something we wanted to do, and it is now here for October 4th.
Yeah.
Jesus
Absolutely.
Christ.
Yeah, very, very good stuff, very cool
Wow.
stuff. And
Oh my God.
Is that it?
There's a couple of general ranger updates.
Yeah.
These
We
are
do have
just
some
the
other
300-second cooldown trait reworks. So Stone Form got the elite trigger, and Shared Anguish is to give you and your pet stability when you swap pets, instead of absorbing incoming CC.
Yeah.
So I think that's all of the. I think we're forgetting something though. That is all the professions, but
That is every class. We talked about PvP. We talked about World versus World.
Roy, this is still an opportunity to get balance changes in, and so for
What else could
the
there be?
one PvE viewer in the chat right now,
Oh.
we do have a few updates to Mechanist.
All right, Mechanist, yes, which obviously has been a little bit of a problem.
Well, fuck our Harvest Temple run.
So while we're not taking a huge hard look at it for this patch, we're definitely thinking about planning on looking at it a little bit more in depth there. Good. In November, we are trying to get at least a couple changes in just for this patch. We didn't want to leave it completely untouched,
Bonk
even though again
it
this is going to be a very
on the head.
focused patch. We felt it was important to just at least get a couple
Guardian
things in
player
there for
over
Mechanist.
here.
So
yeah.
as Roy mentioned, we are looking into more changes for Mechanist in the next balance update. But for now, we kind of removed a couple of the, potentially, I don't want to say problematic, but some of the more impactful passive damage generation that Mechanist had access to.
Yeah.
So
That was
aim-assisted rocket, notably, is no longer going to trigger with the mech at all, regardless of what trait you have equipped.
Yeah, and that should definitely decrease quite a bit of the damage coming out of the Mechanist there. And then second up, we've got the bonus ferocity from Mech Frame is no longer going to be inherited. It's just going to increase your precision there on that trait.
Right. So again, just a touch to the mech's damage output itself to kind of remove some of that
Bye,
that
Mechanist.
damage output while we look ahead to a future update.
Yeah, and again,
They
like I
are
said,
going
we're
away.
not
It's
expecting
pretty
this to
huge.
just completely do
Well,
the class
thank God
up.
they
We
can play
wanted to do that
Virtuosos.
anyways, but just a couple touches to it. We'll have to see how it shakes out. And again,
what
we're
the
going to
fuck
continue
Kivi's
looking
gonna play.
at it a little bit more deeply for November. When
I don't know
we're
how the
planning
fuck
on
we're gonna
some
do
more
Harvest
changes for
Temple.
it. But since it was obviously a competitive focused patch,
What can
we
Kivia
didn't
play?
take too many looks at it. But
Necromancer.
again, just wanted to get something in, make it hopefully feel a little bit better for the meta there. In
Any
PvE.
more?
All right, and we have one final change.
Runes.
That we'll
Anything?
talk about, and then we'll wrap up. Revenants.
That's class.
Once I forget which update it actually happened in, but recently the interaction between weapon swap sigils and legend swapping was removed. But it's now back.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, that was always an intended functionality, and it was just kind of an error that got removed. So we have reintroduced that for the October 4th.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I didn't notice that.
Feels good to be able to swap.
I haven't played Rev in a while.
As a Revenant enjoyer
Ever
myself.
since Mech became a thing.
When it got removed initially, a lot of people pointed out, here's a bunch of ANET devs talking about this in the past where this is intended behavior, and yes, it is intended behavior.
Yeah. So there you go.
So I guess we'll try to wrap things up here.
Runes.
That's all the changes for the update. We'll be posting the update notes
damn
after
it.
the stream. Some of the stuff that we talked about in this stream will not be in those notes because we are still kind of in the iteration phase for this update.
Yeah.
And some of these things came in after the post was ready and localized and all that stuff. And obviously we're still going to have some time to make some changes based off feedback. And that's really the goal we have with doing these preview posts, whether it's through a live stream or through the text posts. We want players to give us feedback about these changes and, give us time to fix any mistakes that may have been made, if there are any. There's some crazy changes in this patch, but there's a lot of good changes in the patch too.
Absolutely. But make sure to check out the post in the forums in case you missed any of the notes. You'll be able to read through most, if not every single one of them, as Cal said. And give us your feedback. We'll be looking for it. And
I feel like I'm forgetting something.
I do feel, because when we initially ran through this, it took a lot longer.
Well, the first time we ran through this, it took forever because we were just kind of stumbling around for...
I did a fair amount of stumbling just now, too, but yeah, sure.
Words and whatnot. And we don't have Ruby here to wrap up the stream cleanly.
Yes.
It's just us amateurs.
I mean, I'd be happy to do it, but he wouldn't let me, so...
So again, thanks everyone for watching. This is... I love doing streams. Like, I'm hoping that we continue to do live streams for Balance Previews.
Absolutely.
We're definitely figuring out all the logistics around that and when things need to be ready and what things aren't going to be ready, but we're still going to be getting in for the update. All these details. But live streams are fun. I love being on camera. Roy, I guess...
I've been on camera once or twice.
He's streamed before, I guess.
Yeah.
Twitch.tv/Groucho.
Oh.
See, that's... nice. We're actually live right now when that happened.
Yeah.
That's good. Anyway, yes, we'll be posting the update notes pretty shortly after. Some of the stuff we talked about here will not be in those notes, as we mentioned, and just keep that in mind when you're giving feedback.
Dude, that's gonna suck ass for Warriors, dude.
Probably making some follow-up adjustments between now and the October.
More stability on Dragon Trigger and reducing the stun breaks from 3 to 1 effectively.
Thank you very much for tuning in and watching. I've been Roy Marks.
Yes, Roy Marks. And Cal CMC Cohen. But you can just call me CMC. Or Cal, I guess. It always feels ridiculous to me when people say like first name, nickname, last name in one sentence.
See, I just tried to wrap it up and he kept talking. So
there you go. But yeah, we're gonna sign off. Obviously, we'll be reading some feedback and we'll maybe be back with the next balance update sometime in, who knows.
Yeah, absolutely. Until then, we'll see you in the mists.
Whatever, they buffed the ever-living shit out of Berserker. I couldn't be happier. It isn't Canthan or something. Pretty good.
Overall, good changes.
Warrior 1's gonna hurt, man. I don't know. Yeah, overall B+, but like, oof, that Revenant thing, man. Give him the rune swap back and more dodges. I guess I'm a Revenant main now. Oh.
I guess I didn't know they took that away.
I just feel tired. Yeah, I didn't either. I mean, that was very strong for a lot of reasons on Revenant, but I like the interaction. I just wish kind of like more shit has it. Because the problem with Warrior is it always has historically had that, but because you don't run Discipline anymore, you basically can't do that because it doesn't have its 5-second weapon swap cooldown anymore. Or it does, but you can't equip 4 sigils.
When are they making that baseline?
That's what I've said. I don't know if you've watched my Warrior Balance video that I literally spent like 200 hours doing, but I was like, they could do all these changes to fix Warrior, or they could just make Fast Hands baseline and completely fix the class.
That's right. Yeah, that was. I did first hear about that. I think in the video you made.
Yeah.
Which ever since I think I heard that, I was like, that just feels like such an obvious.
Right. It's how it should play.
meant to be like the martial weapon master. It fits the class lore. It would be good for balance. Yeah.
Even if you don't give it the full 5, you could give it like 80%, and then if you took Runes of the Warrior, it would do the like extra 20, or if you took the trait, it would do the extra 20, or like literally anything. It's just, it's so weird to me that isn't part of the class when every build in PvP forever has run that trait line until Bladesworn came out, and Bladesworn is a completely different class. So it's like, why? I don't know.
Yeah, it feels like it would be such a good...
It's very weird.
Good change to make, but oh well.
I'm exhausted. I'll be right back. I'm getting water.
Sure.
Microphone sound muted.
All right, that is it. A lot of exciting stuff coming. We'll see. Go voice on this forums. Be calm. Be collected. Give constructive feedback. I'm gonna take a break, get some water, let's see what I think about all this, and then post notes that hopefully they will read. But yeah, I'm Pseudo, Tier Tribune. Follow, like, share, and yeah, I will see you in a week when I get back from Spain. Peace.